Last time on Let's Play Mega Man X4 in the Zero playthrough. Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those stories. And he's now taken up the path of the Jedi. Cause Rai isn't a verb, high-end Kyaku. You know, I guess they could just go the Mega Man 8 route and instead just hire a bunch of random nobodies off the street. It's not really that hard, y'all just suck, people. And for some reason, Magma Dragoon was a bitch to record all of the Japanese audio. I don't even see how Rai would aid an engine. Everyone is an idiot. And now the continuation. It's time to split mushrooms. No, I mean it's time to fight Split Mushroom. And, I guess we'll make him even more split because Zero is a Jedi. This is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Mega Man X4. This is the Zero playthrough, of course, and in the last episode, we took out the first two Mavericks, which were a Magma Dragoon and a Jet Stingray, though in the opposite of that order. Anyway, so in this episode we're going to finish off three more Mavericks, and we're just going to, leave three remaining. So anyway, it's time to talk about something else. Of course, this stage has great music. Speak of, this game's soundtracks, that's one thing that I really like. It has just some fantastic music. I mean, people disagree with me. They don't think that this game's soundtrack is the best. Personally, this is actually my favorite, and this track in particular is one of my favorites in this soundtrack, so it's really good. I just think that it has this really neat, mysterious vibe to it. It also just sounds really cool. The stage itself, of course, is another great stage. This is one of the best stages in the game, because it just goes by so smoothly and it's so enjoyable. The enemies keep coming at you and it's really fun to fight through them. And with skill, you can breeze through this stage, and it feels incredible when you can actually, blaze through the stage really quickly, like a true Jedi. Right here, the mini-boss is, actually not that hard, but, there's a way to cheese this guy to make him even easier. If you have a Frost Walrus's ability, which is down plus the special move button in the air, you can summon a spike and you can just keep stabbing him down that way as it's moving back and forth, and you can end the fight ridiculously quickly. It's crazy just how much you can make the fight that much easier. Zero is getting some pretty cool abilities. We ain't even seen all of the cool abilities that Zero has in this game. He's becoming a true Jedi. Because, it seems to be the theme. His Z-Saber, it's lightsaber. Let's be real, folks. Zero, I guess, is a Jedi, because, he wields a lightsaber. He's got a very cool gameplay style. I'll admit I don't prefer his gameplay style to Mega Man X, but it's still a good time. So, Split Mushroom's Japanese name is Split Mushroom. Yeah, it's actually the same as the English name, which doesn't happen all that often for the American versions of the first 5 X games. It happens very rarely when the English name is the same as the Japanese name, but for some reason the Japanese announcer pronounces the name as Spret Mushroom. I have no idea what's up with that. That's a bit strange. I guess it's just like a Japanese announcer that's like not especially good at pronouncing English. Anyway, here's the fight. So let's get into it. This room's actually interesting because it gives you a free weapon and life energy, which is unusual.
You made it this far. I'm impressed. You interested in a real challenge?
Who's your commanding officer?
Never mind that. It's time to fight.
It's kind of obvious whom he's working for, but I'm not going to say that. But the fight itself is actually really fun as a Zero. He creates these doubles, and that's important more so for X's weapon that he gets from Split Mushroom. But this fight is very fun to like dodge because like it feels like very tight and exciting. I do find him to be somewhat easy, but it's a pretty enjoyable fight nonetheless. His allegiance is actually to the Mavericks, as the info card says, which leaves him as one of only 3 bosses in this game that have the allegiance to the Mavericks, the others being, of course, Magma Dragoon that we fought in the last episode, and Cyber Peacock, which we have not fought yet. But anyway, the ability you get from Split Mushroom as a Zero is called the Coup and Boot. Because, like, his desire is to stomp the coup out on his boot, so, like, that's why it's called that. Which, seems kind of like a strange thing to call it, since it's just a double jump. Like, why would you come up with something so strange like that? That's ridiculous. That's quite ridiculous. But in all seriousness, apparently the name for it actually means air waltz, which is interesting. A double jump isn't really what I'd call a waltz, but I guess the game disagrees. But anyway, the other ability that it gets you is called Coup and Zant. And that's another strange thing. Like, how are they able to reference Twilight Princess? This is nearly a decade before it came out. I guess he, like, wants to stomp the coup out with the power of Zant. And it's like, why would you reference a game that hasn't even come out yet? That hasn't even been conceived yet? I don't know how they managed to do it. That's just really weird. But apparently that name actually means air circling slash. It's basically a spin attack in the air, and it's really useful. This actually becomes a staple in Zero's moveset for future X games, and it's a very welcome addition to his moveset. It's one of the best of Zero's abilities, so I would recommend taking out a Split Mushroom relatively early on. Earlier I actually died on purpose so that I could restart earlier in the level to get something else that I missed. It's the heart tank. But now we're tackling the stage for Frost Walrus. I know what y'all are thinking, like, you never said that we would fight a walrus in this episode? There are so many questions I have. Like, why is split mushroom's name pronounced as a split mushroom in Japan? Why didn't you tell me about this turn of events? What's going on? Who designed this stage? And whose idea was it to make a walrus as a boss in this game? And who's the walrus? And the answer to that last question is that it's Paul. It's obviously Paul. Duh. Who else do you think the walrus would be? John and the walrus are as close as can be, of course. But make no mistake, the walrus was Paul. We are the Eggman, by the way. And then back to the actual game. This mini-boss is very easy. You can just, use the Ryu engine on this guy and, shave off his health so quickly. It's a very short fight. But, anyway, Frost Walrus's Japanese name is, Frost Kibatodos, which, sounds Greek. That's really weird. I don't know what's up with, that. Yeah, the Japanese names tend to be quite strange. Split mushroom makes sense, although the pronunciation is a bit weird. What's the deal with pronouncing it as a split mushroom? But I digress, that's probably just a Japanese mispronunciation of English, which is quite common. But I digress about that. So, this stage is actually interesting because, there are actually two themes for this stage, one for Area 1 and another for Area 2. And I just got the weapon tank, which as Zero is practically useless because I believe it can only refill one of Zero's abilities, which is just completely useless. It's like there's almost no point to getting it. But anyway, I still collected it just for the sake of completion. It's not very useful, but nonetheless, here we are at the boss. It's not too far ahead, and the lines for Frost Walrus were a little bit of a nuisance to get, but he wasn't as much of a bitch to record as a Magma Dragoon. That was just really irritating. His weapon, by the way, the technique that he gets you is called Hi-You Red Susan. I don't know what's up with that because, the ability itself is actually blue. Shouldn't it be Blue Susan? That makes no sense, but basically I guess it's called that because you're greeting someone named Susan. I have no idea what that person in question is, or why we're addressing someone named Susan.
根性を叩き直してやるぜ。氷のベッドでおねんねしな。ぶっ潰してやる。覚悟しな。
But apparently the name actually translates to Ice Fury Slash. My goodness, these technique names are so cheesy. That's just so over the top, it's not that ridiculous. It's not, insanely good or anything like that, but, they come up with the most ridiculous names for these techniques. Anyway, it looks like Paul is done for, at last. He's a fairly easy fight. It's not that hard to beat him, even without his weakness. But yeah, it's an enjoyable fight, I must say. And one thing that's interesting about the Zero playthrough is that Zero actually doesn't fight the Colonel after defeating 4 Mavericks. Instead, you have a cutscene rather than a fight. Yeah, this ability, by the way, is actually really good. It's basically a downward attack, and it's great for taking out enemies below you.
I've got a message from Rebel Force.
Zero, I'll be at the Memorial Hall. Be there.
Don't go, Zero. Don't fight him.
This is a matter of personal pride now. There's no avoiding this. I must go.
So, yeah, this cutscene, of course, has a very cheesy voice acting, and Zero just straight up jumps in and attacks the Colonel for seemingly no reason. Like, he didn't say he was trying to fight. Why did you jump to conclusions? Why is everyone in this story a complete idiot? Yeah, this story is not good at all. And it had the potential to be so much better. The best in the series, in fact, and they squandered it. It's all because everyone in this story is just so dumb. I don't even get why Zero just suddenly assumed that he was about to attack, and he just sort of lunged at him for seemingly no reason. Also, you gotta love the lack of punctuation in some sentences, where the Colonel's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And it's like, where are the spaces in that word? Yes, that's one word. That sentence is entirely one word. In fact, that's probably how I'll subtitle it. I digress. So it's time, at last, for the top 5 plot holes in this scene.
Number 5.
Since when does "I want to meet with you" translate into "I want to fight to the death"? The Colonel even acts surprised here, so he probably did not want to fight. Zero looks like an idiot. Why is everyone so dumb?
Number 4.
Zero, you're going to have to fight the Colonel anyway. Why are you ending this fight when you just tried to kill him? And because of honor and all that noise, they later fight anyway.
Number 3.
How is this meeting a matter of personal pride? He didn't challenge you to a fight or anything like that, yet you're going to attack him completely unprovoked, and then you have the gall to demand him to stop the coup? What is wrong with you? Maybe he'd actually listen if you didn't try to kill him, you absolute dummkopf.
Number 2.
But Zero isn't the only dummkopf here. The Colonel himself should have clarified he only wanted to talk, and he did just want to talk, as evidenced by this line.
What do you think you're doing?
If he had to ask that, he was not expecting a fight. Communicate for once.
Number 1.
On that note, why is the Colonel so insistent on not cooperating with anyone? They could have written an interesting story where he had a reason to distrust the humans, but that is not what we have here. He looks like a total dummkopf, just like everyone else in this mess. So now it's time to fight to the 5th stage, to enter the 5th stage, which is gonna be the military train as a /beast, and this is where the game really starts getting good, cause like, Zero has some pretty cool moves at this point, and it just feels great to use all of them, as y'all can see as I'm going to show. You have the downward strike, which was what we gained from Frost Walrus, and it's actually really useful at taking down enemies below you. Of course, the Magma Dragoon's ability, the Ryu engine, is really good at taking out enemies above you. So with all of these moves, you can start to feel like a proper Jedi. But anyway, something that I should talk about is that this weakness chain is actually pretty different from X's because, like, well, for starters, one of the Mavericks just gives you an air dash, and, like, that does 0 damage to anything, of course. Plus, another one just gives you the ability to erase enemy shots, which is kinda lame. I'm saving that one for, like, one of the very last stages because, like, yeah, it's not very good. It's kinda lackluster. But, like, the weakness chain, because of all of this, is quite a bit different, and some attacks are actually the weaknesses of multiple bosses. And one such example is Slash Beast's weakness, which is the ability that you get from Web Spider. And we're going to be picking that up in the next episode, but that's his weakness, and it's also the weakness of Magma Dragoon. That's kind of interesting, the weakness chain. It actually has weaknesses that serve as the weaknesses of multiple bosses. And the music to this place is fantastic. This stage has one of my favorite tracks in the entire game, which is saying something since the soundtrack is already full of many great tunes. I will fight anyone who says that this game's soundtrack isn't that great, cause it's amazing. I do like plenty of other soundtracks in the series, but this is by far my favorite, and it goes a long way towards creating a sense of spectacle in this stage, cause this stage has some pretty great spectacle. One thing you can do with this ride armor is use it to, like, bust up certain train cars. That's not necessarily, like, needed or that useful, but you can do it, and the heart tank is not exactly very well hidden. It's right on the path to the end. But yeah, this stage is really good. It's a simple stage, but, like, it's got a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's enjoyable. And the fight with Slash Beast himself is pretty epic too. It's a fantastic duel between two agile fighters, and I always love those kinds of battles that are based around agility and speed over attack and defense. I mean, that's why I always go for the air dash first, the leg parts, because I like being able to improve my agility. Now, of course, my preference for going for, like, the leg parts first will go away for X6 and X5 for really annoying reasons that are more so the fault of the game than, like, necessarily anything I would like. But, yeah, that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that stupid element later. And while I like half of the games mentioned, no shock as to which one that is, the problem that I'm talking about is still pretty irritating. I don't like it, even in the game that I really like, but yeah, we're almost here at Slash Beast, finally, and yeah, let's get into the fight, shall we? I can't wait, because this is a good fight, I gotta say. So here he comes now. His Japanese name, by the way, is Slash Beastleo, but it's pronounced as Slash Bestleo for some reason.
You dared to attack my unit? I'm gonna enjoy fighting you.
超特急であの世に送ってやる。小僧、ちっとは楽しませてくれんだろうな。嬉しいぜ、久しぶりの戦いだ。
So, he gives you the ship Yuga. That's the technique that he gives. Because screw you, Ga! You ruined my day! And no one likes you. Everyone despises you. So we're gonna ship you off, and if you don't like it, well then tough luck. That's what you get for ruining my day. But in all seriousness, it actually means Hurricane Fang, which is just so corny. These names are just the corniest when you translate them into English. It's kind of funny that way, but yeah, it is pretty tricky to pull off though, so watch out for that. It does take some skill to be able to do it. Basically, it's a dash attack, and you have to, like, press the special move button during the dash, which is easier said than done, because it seems like the timing is a little finicky. It does take a bit of getting used to. So the ship Yuga is not one of my favorite moves. It's alright, but I just prefer the previous ones that we got. I just don't find it to be all that useful compared to the others, but I will be showing it off. But yeah, that will have to be it for this episode. Join me next time when we finish the remaining Mavericks and start the first of the final stages. See you all then.